impressions?
Well, I think that there were some things that were done well, and there's a lot of things that we can improve on. And I think from week 1 to week 2, you see the most improvement. Some of our younger guys feel a lot more comfortable out there in the game setting, so we look to see a lot of improvement.
Can you give us an injury report here and kind of start with Dent?
Yeah, I sure can. First, we made a couple of roster moves today. As you know, we released Brady Ewing, or not released Brady Ewing. He's injured. He's out for the season, and then we had to make another move, and we had an injury with Adam Neasley. He has an ACL, and so we had to replace him. And today we replaced him with 2 players. We signed tight end Chase Kaufman, who was with Tampa at the latest time. And then Luskaya, the light. Lou is what he told me likes to be called.
Okay,
so we call him, and he plays fullback. So those guys have been added onto our 90-man roster, and to make room, we had to release our punter. Yeah. So those are the roster moves. In terms of injuries, Akeem Dent has had a concussion. He's in the concussion protocol. He's in stage 1 right now. What does that mean for this week? It's still too early to tell. But he's in stage 1 of the protocol for the concussions and the head injuries. Kerry Meyer had a leg injury in the ball game, so he missed some practice today. And then, of course, we had a number of guys that were held out. So I think that takes care of them all.
Is there any updates on Harvey?
No, I'm good.
No,
checking my list.
Is there any updates on Corey Peters and Vance Walker?
We know that Vance Walker is going to be evaluated tomorrow in the morning. We're hoping that he can get back out on the practice field. Corey Peters is still probably 10 to 14 days away from being reevaluated with his foot issue. And I'm sure you guys noticed number 22 wasn't out. I know that one's coming next. Sante was excused from practice today, and he will be back tomorrow.
Coach, is that one of the toughest things to do this time of year is manage and prevent injuries while trying to implement new systems and keep you guys ready for the first game?
It's the number one thing that we want to try to accomplish is to be as healthy as we can be when we get to the opening game, and that is very difficult to manage simply because this is the time of the year where you have the most contact, and you've got to get your guys prepared. It's a fine line. You're always walking that fine line in terms of the right amount of work, the right amount of contact, and overworking your players. I think we do a really nice job. For example, tomorrow we'll come out, we'll be in a shorts practice. We won't have a padded practice. Tomorrow the guys came out and hit today, so we're trying not to put back-to-back padded practices together right now until we get through this training camp. We're going to have to do it, but we're trying to avoid it as much as possible.
Is there an indication how this next preseason game we might go a little longer with the starters, and can we expect the same another quarter? Or
I think that we'll have them on a snap count more than a quarter count. Last week we wanted to play them the first quarter and really let the snaps play out. Defensively, with the 3 and outs, they had 9 snaps. Offensively, they moved the football. They got a few more snaps. We'll have a number of that we have in mind, and it'll be based on that number. Of course, you got to have a little bit of a range of it. You're not going to pull them out in the middle of a drive, but we'll have a number in mind where we want to get to on both sides of the ball. So we'd like to definitely get the defense a little bit more work.
I was going to ask you, since you've been here, the core of your meeting rooms, obviously brought in a couple new coordinators and they've bring some little wrinkles, but you really have kind of same running backs room, offensive line. You have a lot, some personnel's changed, but that really makes, I would think, your job easier, doesn't it, to have your secondary room, your linebacker room. Everybody's familiar.
Continuity is important, and we've had a bunch of guys that have been with us since we started, so they're familiar with how we do things. And I think it's important systematically that your guys are familiar with it, and they can let the other guys in the room, the new guys in the room, let them know how it's going to proceed. Because communication and collaboration is probably the most important thing in terms of putting your team together, especially during training camp. You don't want them to have any surprises once the season starts. And what we tried to do is expose them to every type of practice that we're going to have in OTAs and training camp and every drill. So by the time we get to the regular season, they've been exposed to it. It's not the first time they've